Hello, I'm CJ Grace of 2graphicforyou.com. In today's Photoshop tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this awesome fire text. Now, there are many ways to create this kind of effect, and one of the ways is by downloading flames. So this tutorial will show you how to make your own flames, and with the method I'm using, you can create some pretty realistic flames. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, by the way, this here is, which is something I'll talk to you about later. About later. My mind is on layers. This is the first time I did this, and I'll explain a little something about this at the end of this tutorial. So anyway, let's get started by pressing Control N or Command N for Mac users to open a new project. Now, name your project if you plan on saving it, and for the size, we'll go with 1280 by 720. With a resolution of 150, then click OK. Now, if you forgot to fill the background with black, because that's what we want, we need a black background, all you have to do is press the Shift key and the backspace key, which brings up the Fill dialog box. And as you can see, I already have black there because I already did this. So if you don't have it, it's almost all the way down at the bottom. Just go ahead and select black, then OK. Okay, now we're going to select our horizontal type tool and select the font you want to go with. I'm going to go with Garamond. Now, speaking of fonts for a moment, there was something that I realized. The website where you can get free downloads, that is dafont.com, not dafonts.com. It's DAFONT.com. So if you're looking for a different kind of text, dafont.com. So we're going to go with, I'll have to put it in here, 92 points. And you can type in anything you want. I'm going to use fire. Now we want to position the text in the center, but just a little below the middle, because we need to give room for the flames. Now we need to duplicate this layer. So we'll right click on the layer and select duplicate layer, then click OK. Now we're going to turn off the visibility of this layer by clicking on the indicates visibility icon. Now we're going to select the original layer where we will add a layer style. So right click on the layer, which will bring up the layer style. Oh no, we're going to click on that to select it, then we're going to double click on it, which will bring up your layer style box. Now under advanced blending, we're going to set the fill opacity to 0. Then we'll want to give it an outer glow. Now we'll want to set the color of the outer glow. But if you notice on my layer style box, I don't have anywhere where I can select my colors. I don't have a color box, which means I will have to close this one out and bring up another layer style box. Now, if you don't have the same thing, then just hang with me until I choose the color. In the meantime, if you do have a color box, just click on your color box, which will bring up your color picker. And I will show you how to do that in a moment. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Then I'm going to go over here and choose this Add a Layer Style. Click on Outer Glow. And now you notice I have a different layer style box. So let's see, where was I? Okay, now we need to choose a color, and I'm going to show you how to enter a numerical value for color. Now notice down here there's a bunch of letters. Sometimes there's letters and numbers. But what we're going to do is we're going to enter FFB017. And that gives us sort of a orangey text. Then click OK. Now, under Elements, we'll go with, well, I'll leave that at about 5 pixels. You want to go with about 4 or 5 pixels. So, now click OK. Now, you only have to do this if you don't have a color box in there, but you want your layer style box to kind of look like this. I want to go back over here because I have such differences there. Alright, so now we want to choose an inner glow. And we'll leave the inner glow's opacity at 100%. Now we need to give the inner glow color, so I need to click OK. Click on my color box. Now we're going to enter FF9C00. Then OK. Then under Elements, we'll set its size to about 11 pixels. Then OK. And so far you can see that the text has a really nice fiery glow to it. It looks almost hot to the touch. Okay, now we're going to turn on our copy layer. I'm getting a little lost here. So we'll double click on that. Then under Advanced Blending, we're going to set the fill opacity to 0. Now we're going to need to give this an outer glow. Then click. Now I'm going to click OK. Go to my other layer style, outer glow. Then under Structure, we'll leave the opacity at 75%. Click on the color box. And we're going to give it a color by entering FF4E00. Then click OK. And then OK. Okay, now we'll need to give it an inner glow. Oops, not inner shadow, inner glow. And now I need to go in the other box. Now, under Structure, we'll set the opacity to 100%. Then we're going to give it a color of FFC 600. Then click OK. Then we're going to set its size to 18 pixels. then click OK. Next we'll want to rasterize, and as you can see so far it has a nice fiery glow to it. So anyway, we'll rasterize by right-clicking on this copy layer, and we're going to select Rasterize Layer. Now we'll select our smudge tool, and for the brush size, we'll go about 20. Now, if you have okay, some people have this in the program, some don't. For the smudge tool, you want to select the brush size of about 20 pixels. You want to select 25 for the hardness and 75 for the strength. Well, I don't have the hardness, so I'm going to use 75 for the strength. Now, we are going to smear some flames onto this. And if you don't consider yourself an artist, neither do I. It takes some practice. And you don't always have to get it right the first time or the second time. And you can resize your brush by pressing your bracket keys, and you can make them for right it goes bigger, left it's smaller, and you can always adjust that to your liking. And you don't always necessarily get it right on the first time. That's okay. It doesn't need to be right the first time or the second time. This is something that you have to practice with. I mean, I've been using Photoshop for a long time, but I don't even have it right. At least I don't think so. So it's got some pretty realistic flames now, and once you have something that you're satisfied with, we need to turn this now into a selection by pressing down the Control key. I'm going to bring this down more so you can see more. So we're going to press on the Control key, and then we're going to click on the layer icon. Just like that, and that turns this into a selection. Now we'll select the inverse of this by going to Select and then Inverse. Then press the Delete key. Now we're going to create another selection of this by holding down the Control key again and clicking on the layer icon again to create a new selection. Then we want to create a new layer by clicking on the Create a New Layer, and in the new layer we'll fill that selection with white by pressing the Shift and Backspace key. And this time, we're going to choose white, which is all the way down here at the bottom. Then click OK. Now we're going to set the blend mode of this layer by going to our Layers palette. And then right here, we're going to select Overlay. Now press Ctrl D to deselect all, and there you have your fire effect. Now, if you have a difficult time creating the flames, don't worry if you don't get it right the first few times. Just play around with it. Have some fun. The more times you work with something, the better you will become at it. Okay, now on this other image that I showed you, this is one of the images that I had played around with. This is for this, not this particular one, but I was working on some artwork for a book cover. Yes, I wrote a book. Pretty scary. Actually, yes, it is a very scary book. It's a horror book. And I was working on the artwork for this. Now, this isn't exactly how I wanted it. I wanted it more like the first image that you saw that we made together here. This isn't exactly what I want it, but as you can see, it still looks hot and it still looks like flames. So something like this would still be doable, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted the other one. No, not that. This, something more like that. So I'm going to redo this, and I myself need to practice with my flames. I'd like to get them a little bit higher, and I don't want so many flames on there because I find that the more flames that I use, the more it makes it look like I've got razor flames on here. That's not something I want, as you can see right here and here. I don't want that. But like I said, at least this gives you the idea on how to make the flames. I myself need to practice, so just go ahead, play around with it a little bit, and have some fun. Thanks for watching.